every who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why, no one quite knows the reason. It could be that his head wasn't screwed on quite right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Who, staring down from his cave with a sour Grinchy frown as the warm lighted windows below in the town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath, and not hanging a stockings. He's now with the sneer, tomorrow's Christmas, it's practically here. And then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming, I must find a way to keep Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew all the girls and boys would wake up bright and early and they'd brush for the toys. And then all the noise, noise. It's one thing he hated, all the noise in the Who's young and old sit down to a feast. And they feast, and they feast, and they feast. They were starting Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then he'd do something they liked least at all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together. The bells ringing and they stand in hand, and the Who start singing. They'd sing and they'd sing and they'd sing. And the more the Grinch thought of the whole Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Off for 53 years I put up with it now, I must stop Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and he clucked, what a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat it looked just like Saint Nick. And all I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, since rain was scarce, there was none to be found. Then stop the old Grinch, no, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old big sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max, and the Grinch said, giddy up, and this sat it down, for the homes of the Who's lay snooze in the town. All the windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air, all the Who's were dreaming sweet dreams without care. He came to the first house in the square. This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed. Then he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings he grinned, now they're fisting to go. Then he slithered and he slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present, pop guns, bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorns and plums. Then he stuffed them in bags, and the Grinch very nimble stuffed all the bags from the ones at the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox, he took the whole feast, he took the Who pudding, he took the roast beef. Then he cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash, while the Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now grinned the Grinch, thou will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove, when he heard a small sound like the coo of the dove. He turned around fast, then he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this little Who daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? But you know that old Grinch, he was smart and so slick. He thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree, the bone light on one side, so I'm taking it home with a more workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here. And his fib fooled the child, and he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and then he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou, who was in bed with a cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. And the last thing he took was a log for the fire, then he threw the chimney himself, the old liar. On the walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And one check of food that he left in the house was a crumb too small for even a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's house, leaving crumbs too small for the other Who's mouths. It was 1:15 dawn, all the Who's still in bed, all the Who's still asleep. When he packed up the sled, packed it up with the presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, and the pencil, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode to the tip top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Who's, he was grinchiously humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're waking up, I know just what they'll do. The mouths will hang open for a minute or two, and all the Who's down in Whoville will cry boo-hoo. There's a noise, and grin the Grinch that somebody must hear, so he paused. And the Grinch put a hand to his ear. And first he did, riding over the snow. It started in the low, then it started to grow. What's the sound? What's the sound? The sound wasn't sad. Well, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry. A very merry. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes, then he shocked. What he saw was a shocking surprise. For every Who down in Whoville, the tall and small, was singing without any presents at all. He had stopped Christmas coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes of bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzle was sore. And the Grinch thought of something that he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. What happened then? well, who will they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day? And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he was with his load through the morning light, and he brought back the toys, the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast.